5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to the Rideshare Zone, where every ride matters. And now, here is your host, Shawn, the Colorado Rideshare Guy.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 17 of the Rideshare Zone. How's everybody doing this evening? What's up, Bubba Sue? What's up, Twin Pines Studio? And we've got Rideshare Rodea. What is up, Defa? How you doing, Steve? All right, y'all. Mess with my name, I'll mess with everything. I don't know. Anyway, thanks y'all for coming in. Appreciate you. And yeah, we're cruising right along here, episode 17. And you can find me on all the major socials under at CO Ride Guy. That's CORIDEGUY. And then any of you that want to listen to this on the podcast platforms, you can catch me on the Rideshare Zone on all the major podcast platforms. So let's get this thing going. What is up, Torp? Just in time, my man. We're going to have a little bit of fun and kick it off with our favorite subject, Waymo. And there's been a lot going on with Waymo, and a lot of it's kind of redundant, but they're finally doing something about everything that's going on. They're doing a pullback finally on all of the highway driving because they're having problems with construction zones, which doesn't surprise me a bit because, I mean, shit, I have problems in construction zones sometimes. I'm not going to lie, and I bet you do too if you're being honest with yourself, because the way that some of those people will call them, put out some of those the road cones and the barrels and all that stuff. I mean, they can't handle a damn stop sign, let alone all these different road cones and trying to interpret, what some traffic guy decided he was going to do with it. So that's going to be an ongoing problem, I think, forever. I don't know how they're going to resolve that, particularly with the current technology. I don't think they're going to be able to get enough miles on it to be able to figure it out. I mean, we've seen plenty of videos where they go into head-on traffic whenever there's construction zones. So I think there was going to be a problem on the highway. Again, remember we talked about all the accidents and everything with all these autonomous vehicles. Everything's happening at lower speeds. Thank God we've not had some kind of accident with everything at the higher speeds on the highway. Plus, there was an incident not too long ago in California, just before they did the pullback, where there was passengers in the car. It was in a construction zone, and it was exceeding the speed limit already, even for that zone, had there not been construction. They were doing 70 miles per hour in what I was told was a 55. Haven't been there, so I can't say for sure. But so there's, I mean, holy crap. One of us, we'd lose our license and ability to drive for a year, at least in Colorado, if you got caught doing something like that. So why the hell's Waymo getting a pass? Well, they did do a recall on them and said they're not going to be doing that anymore until they get it figured out. Who knows what that means? What has been big scene? Man, why is everybody messing with my name? Awesome Amy, welcome in, man. We got the crowd cruising in now. Let's see. Steve says, Waymo should be used to study tornadoes. Absolutely. I was watching Twister. Why do we rick people to send Waymos right into the eye of the tornado? Yeah, exactly. But leave the eVTOLs alone, Steve. They're free to fly and be free. I'm not sticking them in any tornadoes. Don't get any ideas. Anyway, so we got that. Excuse me. And then, of course, we have the whole flooding issue. First, they got drowned in Austin. Then they stopped at a puddle in Austin during the rain. And then they were down in, I think it was Florida or Georgia, one of those two states, Florida. And got flooded out again. So now Waymo's done a recall on that. So I'm sure Jaguar's pretty pissed off that they keep drowning all their vehicles with this crazy little technology that they got going on there. So anyway, Bubba Sue says George Jetson and the Tornadoes too. No, leave the eVTOLs alone. Fly, be free. So that's where we're at with some of the stuff with Waymo. But while Waymo's doing what they're doing, they like to flock together, which is another weird behavior that I guess they feel there's safety in numbers, and they just end up flocking together. We saw the thing in Georgia where they're going around in the neighborhood roundabout, and where they had like 50 of them, and then they caused a traffic jam. Torp says, use Waymo specifically for drunk people. They won't even know they're sitting in the bottom of a lake. Well, and then you don't have to worry about any. Yeah, anyway, I got a whole lot I can say about that. Oh, Ben says the Waymo would probably go the wrong way, not going towards the tornado. Very good point, Ben. It would probably flee from it, not in fear of its safety, but because it would misunderstand the instructions. It'd be like, Waymo, you had one assignment. You went the wrong freaking way. So, great point, Ben. Sorry, Steve. No tornado chasing in the Waymo. Although, Steve, that gives me an idea. Maybe we should order a Waymo during storm season. We got storm season coming up right now. Maybe we could go tornado chasing in a Waymo. What do you think about that? We're gonna have to collaborate and have a conversation about that with Steve. So, Steve says, expanding on Torp's idea, put them in the into the Gulf. If you like Twister in the eye of the tornado. What's up, Brian? How you doing? So, anyway, so we got that, and then meanwhile in Nashville we got this.
Now what's he gonna do? Look here. So old boy just turned out the pack. There goes Waymo. He can't get out of the way now. He's right there in front of that dump truck. Look at him. Here goes another one. Oh, he's bailing too. Same freaking thing. Pete and repeat. All of them's gonna be doing it. I'll be stuck here forever. Look at him. They're all jamming it up. They don't know the train's moving. Look at this. This is a show, boy. I mean, you talking about a show. This is a show.
There we go. He described it perfectly. A shit show. And see it again. They were all flocked together. What is that all about? Why are they so insecure that they feel they have to hang out together? Waymo, give us some answers on that. Because I know you're great to respond with anything. You won't even show up to a town hall meeting. So anyway, there we go. They're all flocked together, and then whatever kind of 200-point U-turn thing they had going on there, I don't know. That was, especially that lead Waymo, that was really weird. So what is the turning radius on those Jags, I wonder? Anyway, I digress. So birds of a feather flock together, says Brian. Great point, Brian. Man, everybody's really intelligent in here today. Not that you're not intelligent on a normal day, but man, you guys are coming up with all the good ones. Let's see. Torp says all our apps are full of glitches. So Waymo point out that they're only taking humans to see their Lord and Savior a bit earlier. Yeah, be right with your maker if you take a Waymo. So what did Amy say? Something about show. Oh, show indeed. Yeah, absolutely, Amy. So see, Waymo's a stop because of the line of cars, the In-N-Out burgers. There were 3 that were stopped. Yeah, that one got cut from the. This one made it in. It was between the two of those, Steve. And since I did a drive-through video before. Not too long ago, I chose this one, and the animated, dude that clearly was from Tennessee. That was a better choice. And then there was another one that also came out where somebody had a stop sign at like it was actually a traffic, but they kept screwing with the Waymo. They were doing this, then they'd turn it and the Waymo start going. They'd throw the sign up again in front. They kept trolling the Waymo. That was a pretty funny video, but the quality of the video wasn't that great, so that one didn't make the show either. But if you're looking for recent Waymo videos, there's plenty of new ones out there. Like Steve says, it's not a matter of if we have enough content for shows. It's picking the content that we think we can tell a good story with. And so let's see. Brian Kern says, I'm elevated as a passenger to be freaking the heck out. Yeah, absolutely, Amy. Yeah, let's see. Your outcome's better than mine, says Torp. Let's see. It was as if Waymo thought In-N-Out Burger was God and they need to pray to it. I don't know. Take me to your leader. I think that's what I don't know what they're doing. Why they were running from the train too? Whenever they were stopped, why all of a sudden did they decide they wanted to make these arbitrary commands? What were these safety supervisors or whatever the hell? Why were they letting them do that? Or were they the ones in charge of the 20-point turns? Who knows? Just another Waymo catastrophe, and so now they're flooding. They can't get out in the rain. They can't get wet. They don't go in the snow because that obstructs the lenses. So unless it's sunny and 70, you probably ain't going to get a Waymo ride, people. And as far as Cybertaxi goes, God, I hope they don't end up trying to introduce wade mode for Cybertaxis to get through the puddles, because this will probably be the result of that. By the way, this is the new product from the Boring Company because of this.
All together, hoist the colors high. Evil thieves and beggars never shine.
All right, so I don't know how many of you saw that video that I posted, but wanted to throw that in there for the people that haven't seen it. But the interesting thing about this cyber anchor, we're going to call it, because not a cyber boat, that's for sure, is this whole wade mode thing. And again, I could see them putting them into like the Robotaxis or something to try and traverse some of the water. But again, if they don't know how deep the water is, how can they do that? Because that's one thing with the Cybertruck, they have a whole lot of disclaimers in there about it. So anyway, let's go to chat real quick before I bring out a few points about this interesting little thing with the Cybertruck. Did a little research on it, because this isn't the first time one of those things have got stuck, somebody playing with the wade mode. I thought wade mode was a joke whenever I first heard it. But anyway, Torp says, let that sink in. Waymo's nothing more than a self-driving glitch. Yeah, speaking of sink in, you saw what happened in that video. So are the cyber anchors. Let's see. Steve says, I like the serve robotic delivery robots that sit on the train tracks and commit suicide. Even they know they suck. Yeah, how bad is it when you're an object that has supposedly no emotion, but you decide it's just not worth it? Brian says it means they'll be useless in Western Pennsylvania. Yeah, exactly. Cybertruck looks like what they're made for. Pinewood Derby race car in Boy Scouts. Yeah, exactly. Like the brick. Whenever the kids who parents and I was the parent. I ain't gonna lie that we way overdid it in the Pinewood Derby stuff, and but we finished strong a lot of times too. So anyway, I digress. But yeah, that's exactly what they look like, Brian, or the Pinewood Derby cars that the low effort ones. Let's see. And there we go. That's what we got on that. So anyway, real quick, interesting things about this is they did make some attempts to put some kind of cool technology. By the way, this happened in Grapevine, Texas. And the driver, Jimmy Jack McDaniel, said he intentionally drove the vehicle into Lake Grapevine, and to try and use his wade mode. Well, as we saw there at the end where they had to use the fire department rescue team, water rescue team to go in and help hitch up the vehicle, and then hoisted it out of the water. Obviously, with the lithium battery in there, that creates a hazmat issue and particularly a huge safety issue with it. But so they do make a suspension adjustment that takes the vehicle to very high. I'm not sure how high that is, but the other things it does is pressurizes the battery, which again, you're working in, wet environments. That makes sense to kind of keep that out. But the speed constraints say that you need to be between 1 and 3 miles per hour. I think that dude was rock hopping a little quicker than 3 miles per hour at one point. And the system's limited to 30 minutes with it. And then has 32-inch limit for the water with it. Now, I don't know how many people have been next to a Cybertruck. Probably most of us have by now. But those things have 35-inch tires on them. So the tires on them aren't any joke to begin with. So you're almost just to the little above even the top of the rim on the Cybertruck. You could supposedly submerge it that far in water. Well, I don't know about that, because the news reports said that this vehicle started taking on water. So you might be able to get in there for a minute or so. And by the way, Tesla warranty does not cover drowning your Cybertruck, Cybercab, Cyber whatever the hell. None of the Tesla vehicles are covered under warranty for drowning. So that Cybertruck decided that was the end of its life. So, and by the way, the guy got arrested. He was charged with operating a vehicle in a closed section of the lake, not having a valid boat registration, and not having his personal flotation devices, and then other water safety equipment violations, probably regarding not having the little light that you have to have on it and all kinds of. Sounds like they had fun giving this guy citations, and he spent more than 24 hours in jail. Didn't say anything about what his bond was set for, but when the two articles I wrote that they, he spent the night in jail, so I'm not sure why he couldn't bond out on that one, but. Play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. All right. Let's see. Do we got anything new in the chat here before I move on? Put nickels in the car, just load it up for speed. Absolutely. I made a tow truck one. Anyway, we'll talk about that in another episode. Maybe I'll probably have it somewhere, but anyway, Cybertrucks look so stupid. I try to make sure people driving them see me laughing at them. Yeah, have you noticed not many of them tint their windows? And that's in Teslas overall. What is that? Is that like some kind of, they think they're flexing, so they don't want to tint their windows? Are there any Tesla drivers in here? And do you have your windows tinted? And if not, why? Why don't you want to tint your windows and keep your vehicle cooler? Because your battery is going to get depleted a lot quicker. So you sure as hell want to do things to reduce the heat in the vehicle. So I'm not sure what's up with that. But that was just kind of a strange observation I made with people who have Teslas. I'm not sure what's up with that. But yeah, keep laughing away, Steve. Keep laughing. And we can get some of these stickers made, and you can put them on there for them. Let's see, 5 days left to get pennies, y'all. Starting June 1st, penny will no longer be made. I thought they already stopped production of them. Okay. The more you know. How do we convert that to a gig work conversation, Steve? Why are you getting off topic here? This is about gig work. Anyway, no, we get off topic plenty here. So, all right, let's see here. We talk about that. And look, everybody, you're beating up on the Cybertrucks and this and that. And a lot of it, look, that's an expensive vehicle. And maybe it's just because it's not affordable to many of us that we feel really bad. But, I think I found the new EV or the new Cybertruck that you probably want to consider doing for ride. I think all of you people that don't like doing rideshare might want to do rideshare after you see this new one.
On this episode of Tweaker Geographic, we have the Tetanus Cybertruck. This was engineered by the one and only Elon Rust. Pushing just over 4 horsepower, this is debatably just as good as the original. In the urban savanna, innovation thrives even from lack of technology.
What do you think? As good as the original or better, maybe? I think jury's kind of out on that one. I don't know. I think I'd roll around in it. Why not? At least in the Sahara or wherever the heck they were, somewhere on another continent that was not the United States. Absolutely, Steve. It's like one of my favorite too. I love Tweaker Geographic as well. The narration's like golden with it, and they always have a lot of good topical stuff for things like this. So it'll be something that we'll probably see a next one on either with Steve or I. And Steve's put some on his. All right, so we got that. I guess we should move into some serious stuff now. Let's not do any serious stuff yet. Did you guys hear about the Uber driver? I guess I'll say the Uber driver that wanted to die. So when I first see this article, article about an Uber driver wasn't wearing his seatbelt. I was like, okay, well, he's an idiot, but is this really worthy of an article? And why are we even writing something? So it got my curiosity. I'm like, okay, well, I'll buy it. I'll keep reading. Well, so, and it was for a ride. They were heading to Nashville. Guess they could have took an Uber. Oh, no, you couldn't because you had to be on the highway. So, and then, or a Waymo. So that wasn't going to happen. So they call an Uber. The Uber guy shows up, no seatbelt. Okay, again, kind of a red flag, but nothing newsworthy. Well, the thing is they were an hour away from Nashville, and this dude did not put on his seatbelt. And there's a video to go with it. They're just all making weird little faces like, oh my gosh. But an hour-long drive, this dude's seatbelt chime did not shut off for over a freaking hour. I would lose my shit. I'm sorry. I would not know. I'd be like, let me off in the middle of Timbuk, Tennessee. I don't give 2 F's. Let me out. That would just drive me absolutely freaking insane. I mean, my son, every time he gets into my freaking car, I make him ride in the back now just to be a jerk, because when he gets in the car, he likes to not put on his seatbelt. I'm like, put on your damn seatbelt. I don't care if you're an adult. You're in my car, especially in the front seat. Wear a seatbelt. And I can't stand to hear the thing chime like 4 or 5 times. So believe me, they got me Pavlov dog. I hate hearing that. And in my freaking Hyundai Kona, that thing is freaking loud. It goes over the speakers. I swear it's like 4,000 freaking decibels louder than the stereo. So anyway, this dude was sitting here made them listen to it. So I assume the seatbelt was broken. Can anybody come up with a plausible idea or explanation besides that maybe his seatbelt was broken? But man, I'm sorry. If the seatbelt was broken, I'd be jamming that thing in there and duct taping it. I mean, I wouldn't drive the vehicle to begin with, but if you're going to do something stupid like that, then like duct tape that sucker to it, flip the freaking wires and pigtail them together if you have to, whatever you got to do to improvise and overcome, but don't annoy the crap out of your passengers over something so stupid. So Steve says he's in the car driving to Red Rocks, but listening. What show are you going to? Is there a show tonight, or are you just going up to Red Rocks to like go meditate or something? I don't know. Come on, Steve. Inquiring minds want to know. Tell us what you're doing. You tell us what you're doing. Why are you doing it? That's what I want to know. I want the details, man. Speaking of details and about Steve, take a little break from this real quick. On my 21st episode, which is going to come up sooner than later, guys, I'm going to keep mentioning this. I'm going to have Steve on as a special guest, and we're going to find out what makes Steve tick, is what I'm referring to it as. So make sure to get your questions to me. Hit me up on Instagram. You can send me messages on Discord. I'm on Steve's Discord. You can connect with me there. There's a whole lot of different ways to get a hold of me. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't have any kind of chat stuff, but I'm on X. You can message me there. But send me your questions, guys, and let's start getting them in now, because we need to have a great show here, and let's dig in and I have a rule. You can ask me anything. I just don't have to answer it. So I think Steve should have to work under the same boundaries. And Steve will probably answer most things anyway. And there's stuff I may not want to ask him just because I don't want to know the answer to. And so my show, my prerogative. But send your questions in, guys. It'll be a lot of fun. Let's have a lot of fun with that show. And Brian Kern says, back to the thing with the seat, says there's a sensor under that seat that you can disable that. Yeah. Exactly. Just deal with it. Rideshare Rick, what is up, brother? How you doing? He has to answer. I know. Yeah, that's fine. Let's ask him everything, Sue. So anyway, guys, start getting those questions in. Triple R. I like that, Sue. That's a good one for Rideshare Road Warrior Rick. Steve, we're still waiting for your response. Why are you going to Red Rocks? Anyway, I guess we'll just have to keep moving on for a while, because he doesn't want to answer while he's driving, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so anyway, that's kind of it with the Uber driver thing. Don't be stupid, Uber drivers. Fix your damn seatbelts. Wear your seatbelt. And if you're going to be a complete idiot and not wear your seatbelt, don't annoy your passengers. There. End of that story. Now we're going to get into something incredibly boring, but guys, this is a piece of legislation I only touched on a couple times. I didn't dig into it because honestly, I thought it wasn't even going to pass and wasn't even worth looking at. But I forgot. I live in the new Colorado now, so of course this stupid piece of legislation is going to pass, and I'm not sure how. Well, I don't say stupid legislation because I think there's some good stuff and I think there's some good intent, but it just, I don't know. So this is about surveillance pricing, aka algorithms. Now, it covers everything from like Walmart has been guilty of doing dynamic pricing. We know DoorDash does. We know Uber does. We know Lyft does. We know, and there's a whole bunch of contingencies, and it's an 11-page bill. It did pass. It's waiting for the governor to sign it. And if the governor doesn't sign it, then either it'll just go into law. If he vetoes it, then it'll have to go back for the next legislative session. But who knows what's going to happen from that standpoint. But if there's a petition, and they have to have 500 signatures on this petition, it'll have to go out to the voters in Colorado. Now, I think that's probably a better way to do it, because there's some things that are going to restrict it, that where the consumers are going to lose some benefit. And actually, Uber tried to use that to exploit it, to talk about, well, we don't want, we want to still be able to use, to do things. And it's going to, here, I'll just read the entire email that Uber sent. It says, your take-home pay is at risk. This is for drivers, obviously. It says the new bill, HB 261210, is moving to the governor's desk. If signed, it could damage your ability to earn. Dear Shawn, rideshare and delivery in Colorado is at a crossroads, and if your take-home pay is on the line. The new bill, blah, 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 has passed the legislators, moving toward Governor Polis's desk. If signed into law, it could damage your ability to earn. If this bill becomes law, it will, remember, this is Uber's letter to me and everybody else that, they have an email account on. It will ban most consumer promotions and discounts. Okay. It won't ban most consumer and discounts. It'll ban most consumer and discounts the way Uber likes to do it currently, which means, with a whole lot of bias. So they're butthurt that they're not going to be able to play games and say, well, we're going to give you you live on the third floor of so-and-so complex, in apartment so-and-so complex discount. They can't do that anymore. Okay, so anyway, they're whining about that. It says the bill's new requirements and restrictions will force prices up for consumers. It won't force prices up. They just won't get these fake discounts, Uber, unless you choose to increase their prices. So you'll reduce your total earnings. Why am I going to reduce my total earnings whenever there's going to be less of a discount and then I get more money instead of the discount? I'm a little confused here. But as prices increase for consumers, demand will drop. Yeah, then don't increase the prices just because you can't give them a fake discount anymore. And so anyway, higher costs mean fewer people booking trips and ordering delivery, leading to fewer earning opportunities for you and significant hit to your bottom line. How about you quit just sucking every penny out of everybody and every penny out of both for food delivery, the restaurants and the delivery, and then not paying the delivery workers crap. And you may think, and stop wasting your entire budget on developing AI and taking jobs away from people. That's your freaking problem, Uber. This legislation so far, I don't see any problems so far with anything that you've given me of any substance that I have a concern for that I'm going to lose money on. So, because Lyft can't do it either. None of them can do it unless they offer it to everybody. So, it says it'll threaten the entire rideshare and delivery economy. When riders' orders decline due to high cost, every driver in Colorado feels the impact through longer wait times between pings and lower overall revenue. I got nothing, Uber. You get greedy, you're finally paying the toll. That's what this comes down to. And again, there's nothing in here saying that you have to charge the consumer more. You just got to quit giving them these fake promotions based on biased data. So they go on to say, we're ready to find middle ground. You're not. You weren't ready to find middle ground before. If you were ready to find middle ground before, you'd have been trying to negotiate this with the state and with the legislators before just sending in all your lobbyists and hoping, that you can get some really nice lunches with them and maybe persuade them not to push this bill. But now they're left with just send the governor a please veto thing. Well, I sent the governor a please veto on another item on the rideshare safety bill, and he's completely still ignored me. So I don't anticipate he's gonna entertain, even if I wanted to send a please veto on this one too. This is protect your earnings. Tell the governor to keep rideshare and delivery affordable so you can keep earning. Okay, so there's the crap with Uber. I know this is really stupid stuff, but this is going to come to a jurisdiction near you or to your own. Once these things happen, they start going, particularly the surveillance pricing and using algorithms. Again, I think that there's some good stuff with it. It depends on how it washes out and how it gets interpreted, because there's a whole lot of 11 pages of a whole lot of things that just was a whole lot of mumbo jumbo that, again, when you have people who are trying to do the right things, will be nice to the legislators for a moment, but they don't really understand it, then they can't put the right language in there. And that's what a lot of this looked like to me. But so how I kind of interpreted this, and I went and fact checked it with some other sources and, tried to come out with it. But again, you can't do individual pricing. So individual price setting, and that includes anything with or wage setting, by the way. So for the drivers, and that includes, that if you're using an algorithm or the output of the algorithm to determine the wage offered to a worker, or the other way around, or how much a passenger is going to pay for a ride, or how much a person is going to pay to get their food delivered to them. So they can't use that data any longer and say, okay, well, they were willing to pay this before and this and that, and monitoring how much they're paying, how much they can push them to pay. They can't do that anymore under this new law. So I'm kind of torn on that, but I'm not. So I don't know. I'm so paranoid because the way a lot of this was written that I don't think it's going to work out as well as they hope for. And it's probably going to have to come back and have some revisions in a year or two. And then meanwhile, who the hell knows what's going to happen in the gig work economy with it. So they can still use algorithms is the interesting thing, but it says that they have to disclose exactly what's used and how it's used and so on and so forth, which would be revealing the algorithm, which they're never gonna buy into. So I fully assume there's probably going to be a lawsuit executed. There probably already is one. I didn't see anything on it yet, but we know Uber's quick to do things like that. But if they haven't filed a lawsuit, then that means they probably anticipate the governor's going to veto it because, he doesn't want to upset his tech bros and everything that's going on with it. And that's where he's made his. So my guess is he's probably going to throw a veto in there. So let's see. What do we got here? Never trapped in a. So Brian says, I was trapped in a burning car and couldn't get out because the seatbelt broke and I needed to cut out of the vehicle. It was 9 last time I ever wore a seatbelt. That would be some scary crap. And I know there's a lot of people that have that concern. And Brian, you're the only person I've ever heard of that truly has happened to. And I know it does happen, but it's such a rare occurrence. But if I was in your situation that happened, I probably wouldn't wear one either. I'd be so freaking, traumatized from it, from, being 9 and in a situation like that. So, yep, I'm fully All right. Well, we hit that 40-minute mark glitch where I froze for a minute. I think we're back. Yep, we are back. So anyway, I was just rambling on about that with the stuff on Uber, and then talking about Brian's situation that I was reading in the chat. So don't blame me, bro. I would be the same way. So who knows what's going to happen with this whole thing? Uber's, good thing for Uber is that they went and screwed up and spent their entire budget for AI in the first 4 months. By April, they spent their entire AI budget, and so what they're finding now, and Microsoft has done the same thing, is that they're finding it's costing more to use AI than it is to have humans. Oh, wow. Shocker. Because everything has to be fact checked. Everything has to be, and then you got to prompt these things properly and so on and so forth. And so, but the other piece of it is Uber ran through their entire freaking budget so quickly because they were encouraging people to do it. They were incentivizing employees they had like ranking boards to say, oh, this team, they were ranking teams as to how much AI they were using for their job and how many different AI platforms they were using. So yeah, Uber, of course you're going to freaking do that. Now, the funny thing is that, who knows how much of it was productive stuff, or were they just making, wonderful little pictures of Dara or whatever with it. That's probably more of what was going on. So anyway, they've canceled a whole bunch of their Claude Code licenses, and so is Microsoft, ironically, when Microsoft is now going back to using their own GitHub and Copilot. Well, gee, what a novel concept. Use your own tools instead of, but anyway, so yeah, Claude Code, if you own Claude Code, if you own stock tied to that, you probably ought to get out of it, because we're possibly getting ready to see the peak of AI, at least a large pullback on it, because now they're going, oh crap, it costs more to awesome. Now we're freezing again. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna close out on my phone just in case it's a bandwidth issue, but I'm not sure that it is, but not sure that it's not. So AI is costing more than it is for humans. Congratulations. We got a small victory, guys. Hopefully they'll pull back and start looking at this and saying this is not not what we want to be doing, and start pulling away from some of that, because it's a continual problem. I'm not a big bunny hugger, but you know what? These data centers use so much electricity. They use a lot of water for cooling. I don't know if it makes it, it's not going to do anything to make it not potable. But I'm sure, it has to go through a reclamation process once it's been, out of the spigot. So it does have to be recleaned or whatever. I don't know what technical term would be for it. So yeah, we're now starting to already see quite a few effects from negative effects from AI. Hopefully we'll start seeing, as workers, some positive effects from that, as they're going to start using a little more common sense. So today, got a couple victories. They're waking up and realizing that AI is costing them more, and Waymo's pulled off of working on the interstates. So we're starting to get some small victories here, guys, for the actual worker, instead of all this mess that we've been on with everybody fast tracking to get everything else going on. So with that, meanwhile, we have humans that are being stupid and encouraging automated delivery processes, like this one-star pizza delivery guy, as I will call him. So Domino's driver in Fulton, Missouri, was making a delivery, and he got into an argument with the recipient of the pizza. Don't know exactly what it was all about, but one thing led to another, and there was apparently some video footage, and the driver keeps antagonizing the pizza recipient, and was making comments such as, "What are you gonna do, bitch? Come get me?" And then in addition, calling the customer effing rude, but apparently using the language. Who's rude? I mean, you're on the guy's property and you're having a tit for tat with him. And he was apparently parked in the driveway. I never park in the driveways. Do you guys park in driveways? What's the consensus on that? I don't, because I've never had a gun pulled on me doing rideshare by pulling into the wrong driveway. I've never had a gun pulled on me, walking up with a bag full of, food, because at least at that point they know, even if I was at the wrong house, which only happened once. Yes, it was my own stupidity, but it's supposed to be next door. I looked at the wrong address. Give me a break. Had one human moment, but anyway, so I just don't park in driveways. But anyway, this dude parks in driveway. They're sitting there having this little tit for tat, yelling and screaming at one another. And then he goes back out of the driveway, and apparently the recipient of the pizza was walking still at him. So dude stops his car, lunges forward at him, and strikes him with his vehicle. Well, that's not going to do anything other than get you into a whole lot of trouble. But he just compounded it. Instead of going, "Oh crap, I screwed up," he left the scene of an accident and went back to making his deliveries. So somebody calls the cop shop. They go and send the officers out and picked him up at Domino's, where he said he admitted that he hit the guy with his car, but he was just trying to scare him. So he got charged with armed criminal action. Vehicle can be a weapon. Apparently that's what they decided it was. First degree assault and leaving the scene of an accident. So good job, dumbass. So there's our one-star delivery driver of the week, guys. It seems never ending. Then, meanwhile, we've got, last week I talked about, I think it was in Maryland, if I remember, that there was people were doing home invasions posing as delivery workers. Well, apparently, I don't know if it's on the dark web of Facebook under, Crimes for Thugs group, or what the hell it is, but this has now also happened in San Francisco. So the U.S. attorney reported that there were 3 defendants that were indicted by grand jury that were involved in a violent robbery. Only one. Oh, they were in a spree, but one of these included, and they were all involving crypto. So I don't know what the big deal is with them, but from crypto, other than it's easy to transfer it. But they posed as delivery workers, and then apparently the guy answers the door, and they stick a gun in his face, hold him hostage, and got $6.5 million out of his crypto wallet and transferred it over to another wallet. And apparently they transferred it to a couple other wallets. So people, stop answering your door for strangers. Stranger danger. If you're not expecting a delivery, don't answer your damn door. Number 2, if you have crypto and you're one of these crypto bros, stop flexing about your crypto wealth. There. Problem solved. Don't even have to answer the door. Look at that. So anyway, I'm not sure where all these, I mean, from one coast to the other and how they're coming together, but if you're not expecting some kind of a delivery, don't answer the door. Think of the safety things you learned as a small child. They apply as adults too. Holy crap, people. All right, let's go check in with the chat here, see if I don't think we're missing anything too significant. Bubba Sue says she's not a fan of AI. I don't think any of us are. I mean, I think, it can be there can be some, fun little things that that are in it. Speaking of, did I forget to, where did I put, oh, that sucks. Oh, no, here it is. I just skipped ahead of it. So, speaking of AI, that brings up for our next segment that Massachusetts, good job, Massachusetts. You went and screwed the pooch on this one. Call this a historic first. Well, it is a historic first, so the voters said, yeah, we're going to let the gig workers form a union. And this is involving 70,000 rideshare drivers in the state of Massachusetts, according to what they're stating. Who knows? I think that's, I don't know, I would think in Massachusetts that's a little exaggerated. And it says rideshare drivers. Maybe that's just gig workers altogether. But it is a drivers union, so maybe that's what it is. They think this is a win. Steve, I know you're driving, but I know you got a whole lot to say about this, and maybe we'll talk more about this one on Thursday, and bring that into the conversation and see what you guys think about it too. Yeah, unions don't belong in the gig economy. Abso-freaking-lutely, Bubba Sue. I mean, it's like that picture right there with the union boss, with his big old suitcase of money. I just generally feel that about unions in general, guys. I know there are some good unions and they do some good things to protect workers, but the majority of the unions out there anymore are not representing the people well that they're sitting there paying their dues. Meanwhile, then you got the poor gig workers sitting there in the soup kitchen, in line in the soup kitchen. No, they're not going there to make deliveries. They're going there to get their next meal because they're sitting there paying all their stupid union dues and everything else, while the union boss is just getting fat and happy on whiskey and cigars. Maybe I should become a union boss. I like whiskey and haven't had a cigar in a long time, but anyway, once again, getting off track. But yeah, I just think this is a really bad idea. I'm an independent contractor for a reason. And that goes back to this whole AI thing and using, with surveillance pricing and things like that. I figured out strategically how to use it to my advantage. So I guess that's why I'm kind of reluctant about these surveillance pricing laws, using algorithms and things. But overall, they can be beneficial to the general public and to the workers too, if regulated properly, but I'm not sure these are regulated properly. And same thing with the unionization. I mean, gig workers aren't making any money to begin with as it is. Massachusetts has already a minimum wage law. So why do they need a union? And, to be representative, and yeah, what kind of bargaining rights are they going to have when there's already a law for wages? And we know what's happened whenever they put minimum wage laws into the gig work economy. You get a flock of lazy people who milk the system and they take their minimum wage, and then it hurts the rest of the workers that are out there hustling and knowing how to work the system and everything. So, yeah, we'll do a deep dive into this Thursday, Steve. So Steve, if you're listening, we're going to dig into this one a lot more, and let's talk about it. So that's kind of what we got with that one. Save the rest of it for Thursday, but guys, bring your questions and your opinions on this into this one for Thursday with Steve and I. And I know we have a like opinion on it, so if you know anybody who's a fan of unions and love the idea, please have them join us to further this discussion, because it's I'm missing the big picture if they, I don't know. I just don't see where they're going to be of any help at all. And I know there's a, CIDU, Colorado Independent Drivers Union, that here in Colorado, and they've, got married up with the regulatory authority out here for rideshare, for the TNCs, and now they're the driver advocates, and yada yada yada. So again, I don't want to use the word corruption, but I don't have anything else that I can think of. But it's just they always get their hands involved in things and legislation. CIDU was a big part of two pieces of legislation that went through Colorado. They had their attorneys draft up the legislation and get them sponsored. So same thing's going to happen with these. Doesn't mean that they're always working in the driver's best interest. You get these union bosses, they're going to do whatever they can to entrench themselves to ensure that they can collect more dues. And that's just the way this stuff kind of works, guys. So gotta be cautious, be cognizant of these things when they come across, and ask why. Why do I need this? What's it going to do to improve my life? And if the answer is I don't know, then the answer should be no. Next subject, we always talk about eVTOL. Well, not always. I didn't talk about anything last week, but always try and come up with it. So Hyundai Motor Group, or Hyundai, however you pronounce it. I'm not Korean, although I drive a Hyundai. They had an air mobility program, what they referred to it as, in the eVTOL program, and they had problems with it, so they just kind of put it on the back burner. Well, there's a KAI, K-A-I, not Kia, KAI, Korean Aerospace Industries, and they are going to join forces and start working to develop eVTOL for the Korean market. But they originally were, Hyundai was I think KAI is actually KAI is a subsidiary of Hyundai, and they were U.S. based. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Are they going to try and jump into the market to compete with Joby and Archer Air and the others that are out there? I mean, we haven't even got any of these things flying. Things. I was glitching out like Max Headroom for a second. Anyway, they haven't got any of these things approved to fly commercially yet, and we're already getting an oversaturated market with everybody wanting to get in there and do eVTOL. That's how great it is, guys. Everybody's just swarming to come do it. I was waiting for that comment, Bubba Sue. I knew it was going to come in there. But anyway, under the partnership, they'll combine both their expertise with propulsion systems, and then aircraft development, and then aerospace manufacturing. So again, that's where a lot of this teeters on, going into aerospace, military applications, besides other projects like that. So look for a Hyundai eVTOL dealership coming to you, Sue. Gonna plant one right out there in New Jersey for you. So anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all. We've wrapped up episode number 17. Don't forget, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Come see Steve and I on either one of our channels, and we're going to talk more about the wonderful little thing that's going on with Massachusetts and the unions, and a whole lot more. We both end up tabling so much stuff from our episodes, and we bring them together and talk about them on Thursday. And don't forget, start getting those questions together to ask Steve for episode 21. Guys, thanks so much. Go out there, go have fun, be safe, make lots of money, smash that like button, as Amy says, hit the bell, subscribe, yada yada yada, do all that fun stuff, and we'll see y'all We'll see y'all Thursday, and then we'll see you next week for episode number 18. Good night, y'all.